Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another edition of Friday Social, where we are strictly unofficial and discuss very stimulating, thought provoking, and sometimes even controversial topics like gratitude at workplace. So, what could be some of the controversies that gratitude can bring? This is another take on the very positive word gratitude, and we know it always works. We know that that's the go all end all of everything we do, to see things with love, to see things with a global positive vision. But there can also be repercussions when we use gratitude at workplace in different scenarios, and it's also useful for conflict. So I wanted to explore that complex topic, how this positive thing is definitely needed but could also, if not used properly, can backfire. So before we start off, I'd love to hear good news shares from all of you. Who would like to go ahead first?
Yeah, I can start. So, yeah, we are talking about a good news, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So my son is turning 18 tomorrow. So he's all set. He is all excited. And we are all worried.
Congratulations and happy birthday in advance to him and to you for doing a good job. That he's excited at 18. When I've done my youth coaching, I can see, honestly, like we know looking back, that's like an amazing time. But teenage and especially, the transition age can be is so challenging. And that's the age group that actually suffers the lowest self-esteem ever during the whole lifetime. So if he's excited, you should be excited, not worried. So I'm glad you see how he turned it around. I'm asking for good news. He shared his worry, but he's actually happy about it too. Thank you for that. I'll ask for your controversies later, Ravi. Srini, would you like to share?
I will go in the end.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Okay, Priyanka, go ahead.
Can you please brief the question, Sheetal? Because various perspective I'm getting it. So could you please brief it one more time for me, please?
Sure. We haven't complicated the session yet. This was just to share your good news.
Good news. So today I had a good day because, like it's a Tamil New Year for, Tamil people.
Happy New Year.
So, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sheetal. So it was a good day and, I met my friends after a long time. So seeing them, I was very grateful for the day and it was all over a good day for me. So it made my day. Yeah.
Very nice. Happy New Year. And what does New Year mean to you?
New Year means
Puttandu.
Puttandu. Yeah. Puttandu வாழ்த்துக்கள்.
Yeah.
Okay, Puttandu Valpukar. How is it different for you from yesterday and from tomorrow?
Okay. So the day was full of positive energy because everybody was, coming out of home and wearing new dress, bringing up some flowers, fruits, brightening their homes, doing some markolams. So like it was a very special day than the usual common day. And, a lot of temple bells and, a lot of smiles in everybody's face. So that fresh look, it was very amazing and the energy for the whole day was great comparing to the normal days. Yeah.
I love it. Just you sharing, I think, put a smile on all of us and filled us with the vibe that you're feeling. It's contagious. Isn't that true? Like Ravi and Indra.
Yes, Sheetal.
Yeah, I also need to mention that, Priyanka did one Let Us Talk It session where she went on explaining about various songs in the movies and the lyrics and the meaning. It was a wonderful session. Yeah.
Wow,
Thank
that's
you.
a very interesting Let Us Talk It session.
Thank you, Sheetal. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the inner message of it. I just know from what she's sharing that it's unique, it's interesting, and probably your take on it was there's commonness in different themes or there's love in different themes. What was the essence of your share. Priyanka?
Yes, Sheetal. So about today's or let us talk it, Sheetal.
Yeah, what Srini just mentioned. Because there's
Okay.
no
It was
head or tail.
yes, Sheetal. So it was an overall concept, Sheetal, like women, love, nature, then the positive thinking, then spicing up with some, like it was a mixture of all feeling I brought towards the concept. Yeah, not a
Love it.
particular concept. Everything, what I can make, a combination of every emotions, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, very nice. Interesting. I did something similar at my Toastmasters in the past, where the speech was about different genres of dance. And I had my son play few seconds of different styles of music. And it was slightly embarrassing at some point because I invited new guests to the club meeting, and they were well-aged professors, engineers, and here I was showing them a completely different point of view. So it was fun. I was showing them from rap to classical to Bollywood to salsa, and I was connecting it all as in, like, the message can be the same through different medium, and the energy can be exchanged, right? So yeah, that's what it is. Thank you. Thank you, and we share a similarity in that aspect. Indrani, share something good news with us, please.
Sure. Actually, I'm also Tamilian, so Puttandu Valtugal.
Okay, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year,
New Year to
Indrani.
both of you.
Same to you, Priyanka. Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you.
And another thing which I did today is I completed my documentation. I'm doing since 4 months. It's a big project. So successfully today I completed the documentation and submitted it. I'm very happy, relaxed.
Congratulations. What's this documentation about?
It's a project work. Actually, it was an old project, so resources are very less. So the complete work got overloaded for me. It was very stressful since few months, but it's okay. I done it.
Very nice. Great job. The joy of accomplishing something, anything, especially it's been a burden for a few weeks, few days, is I think way more than the pain we endured throughout.
Yeah.
So great job. Thank you for sharing, Indrani. What about you, Srini?
Yes, there are many good news, strings of a lot of good news. One is on the food ecosystem that we are building in Detroit. So now we signed up with stores like Myers and Hollywood stores and all to supply bakery goods like brownies and all. So that was, and actually the first Meyer we got the restocking order.
Very
So
nice.
that is a
What do
completely
you
different.
think of brownies? Because I'm not gonna go anywhere else. Ravi knows.
What is that you asked?
Never mind.
No, brownies actually, to be honest, yeah, I don't eat much brownies. But that's what I mean, it's selling at Myers. So that is one. Yeah.
Ravi, what do you think is the secret in the brownie Srini is selling?
Yeah, I think people are mixed in terms of brownie love.
Okay, very nice. Congratulations, Srini. So I know Vegorama is not offering brownies. So where did that come about? From somewhere? And
Yeah,
suddenly Maya is involved.
yeah, different team and different initiative. It's nothing connected with Vegorama. Yeah.
Okay, got it. I thought it was Vegorama. Very nice. Congratulations, Srini. And for me, the good news is that I'm in Atlanta. I'm in the middle of this amazing conference workshop for speakers, coaches, and authors by this lady, Dr. Sonia Stribling. And she comes from military background, and she has this, not necessarily rags to riches story, definitely there, but it's coming from low self-esteem to such a high self-esteem that she's questioning everything that we consider as normal. And I love that that I'm in love with investing in myself, in my self-growth. And that way, you know, in every way, like just like Priyanka shared with such effervescence about the festival, the new year that we all celebrate, but from her share, we could enhance our joy just because she shared. And for me, she didn't even have to go through any workshop. She just has to experience something that she got inspired. And from her share, we already got it, right? So, and then Indrani, whenever she speaks, she has this zest with her. We get it. So in that way, I see that there's power in all of us. When we open our mouth, we make a difference. So yeah, I'm really happy about it. And I can't wait to go back to the session again. So that's my good news. And coming to the topic for today, it's controversial catalyst. So it's a catalyst and it can also be controversial. It can be both. It can be either or. What does it mean to you guys? Ravi, go ahead.
Yeah. So honestly, it can be, yeah, there are few people who cannot, I mean, anything they say is controversial. So there are a few personalities who are born that way, have DNA of, you know, creating controversies. But I would say sometimes it is good to have controversies because that makes you build yourself strong to ignore controversies, even though they are like going around. Some things are not, which are not real. There are controversies that are like created. Like, you know, most of the schools and colleges have this habit of creating controversies, you know, linking people to each other and all that, artificial controversies. So, but otherwise, yeah, this is a good topic. I would love to hear from, you know, the and understand the overall perspective of this particular subject from you at the end of the session.
Yeah. So tell me, what is a controversy to you?
Controversy is something which you're basically putting across a perspective which somebody thought it is right, but you know, it might be completely different. There is a controversial opposite of what people thought it was okay.
Yes, I like that. So it's basically questioning the current norm, current status quo. And if you go to an organization and assume it's a swimming pool and then dress accordingly, that's controversy. So controversy could, because you're not wrong in your mindset, but you're in a wrong place at the wrong time. So it could be an innocent mix up, or it could be attention mongering activity for some people that you're talking about whose DNA, again, it's a judgment call to think, oh, they don't want to, you know, you saw the movie PK, right?
Yeah.
So he was completely controversial, but he was a seeker. He was trying to understand. So we can take different point of views on this topic. That's why for me also, I'm really interested to hear what will come out. Welcome, Ajay. Thank you for joining us today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, sorry for being late. I was in meetings and I just sort of jumped in here. Sure. Let me start my video real quick. Okay, there we go.
Hi.
Can you guys see me? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Hi. I didn't get your name. What's your name?
I am Sheetal.
Oh, okay. Hey, Sheetal. First name is Ajay. Last name is Bal. I was recently introduced by Srini and Ravi to this group, and we're doing some things sort of outside this from a networking perspective. My background is IT, cybersecurity. I've been in cybersecurity networking for like 25 years. You know,
Wow.
I actually live here in Michigan. Went to Michigan State University, not the other school. So just want to throw that out there. And
Isn't that Go Spartans, right?
what's that?
Go Spartans.
Yes, it's a Spartans, correct. Yes, I'm a green all the way through. So, just kind of jumping onto this thing. Hopefully, I can learn some things and then also maybe contribute some things as well. So, it's kind of my background.
Thank you, Ajay. Thanks for joining. And we moved the hour this session, so we don't have as many people, but I believe that whoever needs to be here is here, and whatever needs to be shared is what we need to hear. So
Sure.
thank you, and we are looking forward to hearing your input on this too. So we're just going rounds on what does this topic even mean to you. Ravi just shared what is controversy, what's a controversial catalyst. So even though the topic is a very positive word, gratitude, but when used in professional spaces, it could be a catalyst in resolving conflicts. It could also be initially or even overall a controversial situation. So what does this even invoke in you?
Or say that again. So are you asking me gratitude? What is gratitude?
So yeah, am I audible? Like, do I need to be louder?
No,
Yeah,
you're fine. You're fine. I can hear you. I'm going to
Okay.
switch over to my desktop though. I think it's better, but give me 2 seconds here. And
Okay,
I'm gonna-
I'll go ahead with Priyanka. Priyanka, would you like to share?
Yes. Thank you.
Or Indrani?
Yeah, here, actually, I don't like controversy topic because I'm really afraid of those things. Because it's wasting my time, it's wasting my energy, which is more precious. And there is a solution, there is a clue given by my grandma here. Whenever the controversy things are happening, it's like there is no clarity on the topic what we are talking. That is why controversy rises. Yeah. So whenever there is a controversy in my life, wherever it may be in career, or it may be in family, or it may be in some public places, or it may be in the friend circle, whenever these controversy topics arises, I'll be silent first. I'll be on my silent mode. I try to understand what's going on here, what they are speaking, actually what they are trying to say. Maybe I'm unable to understand that. So my grandma's words again helping me here to understand what is the meaning of that controversy actually.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I love that. Yes, lack of clarity creates conflicts and controversies. So the point is definitely, and you're taking your take is of a wise person. A wise person is open. They're absorbing. They're not immediate to jump and give the solution, share. This is the right thing to do. Oh, this is the wrong thing to do, right? Your prescription, you think your prescription will solve the problem, but even to back off, give them space, let the people figure out, let the situation unfold naturally. That's actually the mark of a wise person. Your grandma raised you well and taught you well. So congratulations. So here we're talking, yeah, go ahead, Indrani.
No, I'm saying thank you.
Yeah, of course. The thing is, definitely, I don't think anybody wants controversy. Like Ravi was saying, some people might have a DNA that wants controversy, that they're called also attention mongering, or these are labels, right? But if we can gain a really high point of view, as in like a more nobler way of looking at people, right? PK in the movie, he would have been seen as this controversy mongering person going from one controversy to another constantly, right? But if we can turn around that view, we see that he's actually a real seeker. He's more religious than people who were doing the religion, not knowing what they're doing, right? Because he's trying to understand. And many times when we are trying to incorporate a value, practice a value to the essence, to the core, it actually seems completely controversial to people who are living on the surface. Surface, because this is how it should be, this is not how it should be. So they have very clear, defined way of existence. Yeah. And anybody has anything to share, just raise your hand or speak up, because this is again this is a very casual forum, and we are here to be unofficially, what's the word, Ravi? Like, we are strictly unofficial. So we want to hear your controversies. We want to hear your questioning. We want you to question each of our status quo's mindsets, existing limited beliefs, right? Even though we're talking about gratitude, we know gratitude is the answer for everything. It's the number one affirmation. It's the one that brings in prosperity, to have grateful attitude. But I'm still wanting to look at this. When you really, truly practice it, it can be sometimes a controversy, and it can many times be a catalyst in resolving conflicts at work. So this is a very complicated view at a very positive word. Does it make sense to everybody? What about you, Ajay?
Yeah, I mean, I could just speak for myself. I live it every day. I have employees in India. I have also employees here. And I think what you're talking about is, it's not necessarily beliefs, but it's what your core beliefs are. And then where you background and where you've learned that. Because remember, we all come from different backgrounds. We all come from different beliefs, right? And so we all have different role models. So depending on how we were sort of raised, what environment really shapes the gratitude. But I totally agree with you. I think when you're at gratitude, you're at peace with what's going on, right? When you're truly at that level, right? I call it, there's, our basic level that we operate from, our brain, our heart, and all this. Then there's a collective consciousness level, which is a much higher level of consciousness. In order to achieve that consciousness, it's very difficult because we have so many distractions around us, right? And so when people try to stir up controversy about this, political, personal, whatever, it's almost irrelevant. And you, as a person, as a leader, as a contributor, have to sort of tune that stuff out, right? And you have to say to yourself, and I tell that to my people every day, I say, hey, you're gonna have your good days, you're gonna have your bad days, but at the end of the day, how do you reflect yourself? How do you see yourself? Because 90% of your life is going to be, hey, it's happened to me. What am I going to do next? 10% is actual that event or that mindset that you have. And that's really how simple you have to keep things. And it is, again, one man's opinion. And so when you preach or when you really resonate with gratitude, it reflects, right?
Yes.
It actually shows, because you can't go and hide in your personal life and hide in your business life one way and go be, something to your wife or your husband and your children. People try to do that. They live lives of quiet desperation. When you practice something, it has to be consistent all the way through. Otherwise, to be frank with you, people see it. And when people see it, it's like they're critics, right? It's easy for me to say, well, she's got $1 million. It's easy, this and that. But really, do you really understand what that person had to go through? You take a guy like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's an awesome basketball player, right? And everybody can sit there and watch a game and say, I can't believe he didn't make that shot. No one understands what it took him to get there, right? It's a king without a kingdom, I'm criticizing. So I always have to sort of, look at people when they don't appreciate things or when they don't have the gratitude attitude, so to speak, thing. And it's like, okay, something's underlying inside of us because we're all struggling with something. Honestly, again, This is my opinion. I'm not an expert. And I think what you have to do is you got to put the focus outside, because when you start putting the focus on outside and you look at everything that you have, you start really appreciating it. Otherwise, you know what happens? You lose contact of where you're at, right? So many people focus on what they don't have, but they forget what they have, right? I can walk, I can talk, I have, great ability to move, I can, I have my health. Those are the things that you have to take into appreciation. A lot of people, they just don't. It's either they're chasing this, I call it the next shiny ball, right? And they just tune out and they just forget about where they're at today, right? I don't know, if this makes any sense. And so I think we have to check ourselves and do this sometimes. And that's my thing. But it's not just a word, you have to live it. You actually have to live it. So anyways, I'll be quiet. That's my 2 cents on that.
I love it. please don't be quiet. This is for you to share too. So I love it. You drop many gems. And one thing that comes to me is that how you do one thing is how you do everything. When you are talking about who you are, at home, outside, with the new people, with old people, with people you don't like, all of that is the same. So when we have that attitude of gratitude, like you're talking about, it can be a catalyst most of the time to resolve, the judgments, when we chase after the shiny object and it doesn't come to us, the attitude reminds us what is it that we truly want. And when you also mentioned that whatever you focus on grows, right? We focus on the lack, it will grow. We focus on what's working, that will grow. So the gratitude redirects us constantly to what is working. So that's how it's a catalyst. But now I'm going to ask you, how does it become a controversy? In what situations? And you touched on it initially at workplaces, right? The cross-cultural differences. What could be seen as a good thing in one culture could be seen as not a good thing. So for people to constantly evolve to the noblest version of themselves and absorb the best out of every situation is not happening. Because they could have a bad night of sleep, they could be on a really bad diet, or they could have health that's impeding their emotional maturity. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, everybody's at a different level in their lives, right?
Yes.
So everybody's at a different level. So, it's not like one size fits all, right? So we have to sort of understand that person, where they're coming from. There's a saying, understand first, where that person, and then you can really be understood, right? So we're so quick to judge, and that's a basic problem, right? We all won't have to stay in a judgment-free zone where we're not judging things by what we're seeing, because we don't know, right? And so I always tell people, instead of fighting and, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, and, whatever, all the other stuff, or, hey, why did he get promoted? How come I'm not promoted? It's like, you're foster conscious. The thing you can't control is people's emotions. You cannot control people's emotions. Only thing I can control is myself and my emotions, and hopefully, leave it as a conflict zone. And I think one of the ladies said that, hey, they hate conflict. Problem is, it's a part of our life, period. It's a part of our life, right?
Yes.
There's so many people, not everybody's going to be my friend. I get that. I really get all that stuff, but how do I diffuse that? And especially within the workplace, right? So the workplace is a little bit different too. So what I do is I collaborate and I bring all my people together. And I say, okay, guys, here's the pros, here's the cons. Where's the disconnect? What do we need to do? So because at the end of the day, it's up to you guys. This is your company to make you guys, successful or not successful. What are you doing every day? And those kinds of things. So we share that. We do collaborative sessions twice a week, actually. And all we call them is thought sessions. That's all we do. And,
I love that. Twice a week. Yes. So there's no scope for mold to grow because you're shining the light, the sunlight.
That's right. And they're tough subjects. They really are. Some of them are like, well, I think we should go this way. And, and the thing of it is I'm like, I let everybody speak and listen to them. Okay. And then I said, look, let's just disagree to disagree. And it's okay, but let's come up with a strategy. Now, here's the deal. You guys make this decision. You own it. You got to execute off of it. Okay. So before you speak something, make sure, you heard that saying, right? Either you're part of the problem or you're part of the solution. Don't bring me your problems. Bring me your solutions to that problem before you bring me your problem. And then I'll listen to you.
I love that. I love that. And to me, that is leadership, because when it's normal, it's the lower side of us wants to complain. Maybe not all the time, maybe once in a while. But when we go to the leader with a complaint and the leader says, turn it around, show me your solution and I'll support. That to me is a growing culture of success, growing culture of inside and outside health of not just one person, but of the organization. So yes, I think especially with America being and or most of the companies are now international. I remember back in Ford Motor headquarters company in Dearborn, they were having this diversity now I think it's not even the right word to use diversity. It's more inclusivity, where they would explain, like in Philippines, if you go and you say, can I get a flip chart for your meeting? They will flip out because that means something else for them. I also know that when you go to Japan or Asian countries and you give a gift and the Western people are waiting for the gift to be open in front of you, exclaim, say thank you, and that's not coming because they just put the gift away and say thank you. They may not even say thank you. They'll just put, oh, you should have, and then it's gone. And the Western acclimated people are like, wow, that is the rudest thing I've ever seen because I just gave them a gift and they didn't even acknowledge. But when we have this collab thing you're talking about, to have that awareness, to have a more global mindset that why did they do this? To actually be curious when conflicts are evolving, to be curious and to think from their point of view. Wonder why they did that. And then soon enough, we'll figure out with that kind of curious mindset that, oh, it's a cultural thing. If you acknowledge, you come across as greedy and they don't want to be seen as greedy. And if they say thank you, that means they want more. They perceive it like that. So I think you're very right, as in like there is a certain nobility that's required to have this attitude of gratitude in professional spaces. What do you think about it? And please chip in Srini and Indrani as well, and Ravi. And you can go ahead, Ajay.
Oh, no. Keep going. You're,
Okay.
you know, you're good. I'm not going to steal yours. This is yours. I don't want to, I could sit here and talk all
Well,
day.
actually,
so-
I'm a bit confused. Are you people are speaking about gratitude is going to be controversy, or you people are speaking about the controversy part?
So the topic was controversial catalysts and why radical gratitude is necessary to resolve conflicts in professional setting, right? There's many things happening in the title. And I'm inviting these kind of open talks because we could have a Thanksgiving kind of gratitude and talk about how we were beneficiaries of someone being being grateful, how we experienced gratitude, how we show gratitude, but I'm asking a different take on it. There sometimes when you practice gratitude, and like I just gave an example, when Asians don't practice gratitude according to the Western outlook, where you take a gift and you don't acknowledge it, it's seen as lack of gratitude, and that's controversial. That's how I'm coming to this topic. You understand, Indrani?
A little bit.
Yes.
I think what she's,
Yeah.
I think what Sheetal's trying to say, if I can just interject for a second, is that
Please do.
you have to understand your cultural boundaries, right? Their cultural boundaries. What we do here in the United States may be completely different than we do, because I have traveled international. You're absolutely right. You know, it's very different. So, you know, how do you gracefully accept that? And how do you gracefully, you know, position yourself, you know, in saying that? And there's a saying that I took, it's called graceful professionalism. Graceful professionalism. So
Nice.
that means, you know, you may not see things how are there, but maybe after you have that controversy or that catalyst or difference of culture, because think of society today. We're just one gigantic melting pot these days. There is no things. You guys got to understand, the internet, COVID has completely changed our lives forever. Whether you accept it or not, it doesn't matter. So what I'm trying to say is that if you're looking at it from one culture, that's great, but you have to respect other people from how they look at things as well. And I think, at least I think that's what you're trying to say. So how do we avoid that controversy? How do we avoid that conflict and not have those issues? And that goes back to my thing is, first of all, you have to step back and find out where that person's values are from. You may not agree with it, you may not like it, but you know, that's your opinion and that's their opinion. And that's how people are. And you have to accept that. You know, it doesn't mean that you have to hang out with these people and stuff, but you need to understand that, because here's the thing. If you have a combative attitude, on religion, race, social culture and stuff in the workplace, you're gonna be fighting a lot, because today it's a global economy.
Yes. Perfectly
Right?
said. Perfectly
You
said.
know?
Yes.
I had a guy that came on today, and it was so funny. He came on, he's looking at coming to work with us, and they're like, hey, what's your background? He said, well, I went and I learned, project management and Chinese. So he took 6 years of Chinese, actually. And I never, I said, why would you do that? He goes, because medicine is moving toward holistic Chinese. And I never thought of it. He gave me the explanation. And he says there's so many medicinal Chinese ways, and doctors today and stuff, veterinary medicine, animal medicine, they're all looking at this. And I was like, well, that makes sense. So he explained it to me. And that, because I was like, well, why would you want to learn Chinese or Mandarin? What's the point? But he gave me the background for it. And then I understood why he may have chose that field. But it's the same thing. You have to sort of talk through these things, right? And, to your point about inclusivity or diversity, I believe that is the most overused verse today, diversity. I have no idea what the hell that means, by the way. And the second thing is that it's overused. There should never be any of that stuff. At the end of the day, you have to look at people for what they can contribute, not their nationality, race, social culture, economic status. That's just, again, my opinion. And I think if we start thinking like that, and there's more people like that, we would probably get along a lot better. We wouldn't have all these controversies, So how do we get to that holy grail? I have no idea. But maybe it's awareness. Maybe it's awareness.
Yes, awareness that gratitude practices, across cultures are not universally recognized or understood or appreciated. To even have that tiny bit of awareness that, what I am doing, we have a certain persona about ourselves or our culture that this is the only right out there. So what you said earlier, like you will have your opinion, I will have my opinion, and we can agree to disagree. That is actually not existent in some of the more ancient, I don't even know I want to use the word ancient. In some cultures, it doesn't exist, because if you have your own opinion, you're wrong. They can come out like that, completely plain and simple, because this is coming down from ancestors, so you have to listen. But they can't seem to see why. So I want that curiosity and wonder. If we can wonder why a person is behaving that way, we can actually get to the solution. We can be part of that, the catalyst that resolves the conflict. Versus if your stance is that I am right, you have to be wrong.
Yeah.
So that's when the controversy happens, when you don't have that open-minded curiosity. How come this is happening? So number one thing is the cross-cultural differences. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, well, there's also another divide, right? Because, you have to look at where we're at in today's time, where we were 30, 40 years ago. It's completely different culture, right? So today we have so much information at our fingertips. Before, we never had that information at our fingertips, right? So now we're exposed to many different cultures, many different ways of looking things, right? And some people, to be frank with you, you're never going to get them to change their opinion. That's just the way they are. Why waste your energy and time? I gotta be honest with you.
Yes.
Move on. There's other stuff out there, So
I completely agree with that. And in fact, isn't that a starting line or chapter of this famous book? Is it Dale Carnegie or Napoleon Hill? The first chapter is never argue. If you can never argue, that means you always move on. It's like you are where you are cherished, respected, received. If not, why would you be there? Why would you try to convince other than some kind of immaturity in us or some kind of competitiveness that you're talking about? And you receive them there. I would love to hear from Ravi, Srini, and Indrani too. Please unmute and share. At this point, I would love to hear what you have received so far and what are your views.
Sheetal, I want to, individually, I don't have any, because I already explained, shared with you that I'm really afraid of those controversies, whatever the controversy, I'm really afraid to mingle in those conversations. But Yes, socially, I can bring up a few things here. Yes, what you said is right. There is few groups. It's not particular culture, or particular society, or particular group, we can say. There are some group of people exist in this society. Unfortunately, it may be because of immaturity, I think.
We help women in 4 different categories. We help the homeless. We help domestic relations.
Dr. Lee, yeah, thank you so much. Go ahead, Indrani.
Yeah, it is because of immaturity in that social group, in that groups. It's not social group or something. It may be a group in the colony, or it may be a group in the quarters, or it may be a group in the apartments, or it may be a group. Few people were there, always exist. They always tries for these arguments and controversy. They always think that they know everything. In this kind of situations, it's is it better to shut our mouth, which I'm following this rule, that I always shut my mouth in this kind of arguments, because I don't want to waste my time and energy, as I already told you. So is it best to shut our mouth, or is it no? How come we make them mature?
I like your question because it also makes me go ahead.
Yeah, in a smooth way, how come we make them matured?
It's almost like you're educating your audience and you're asking, how do I do that when I know they're in the wrong and I know I'm in the right? It's Einstein said something, right? The world is a dangerous place, not because of the evil people in it, but because of the silence of the good people. So I see where you're coming from. If you're, if Einstein said that, it means speak up. But then we also have a very powerful analogy, a poem from the past that says, don't open your mouth in the wrong place at the wrong time, because when you know it's not going to make a difference, why would you open your mouth and try to, basically, if someone is convinced that a rabbit has horns, you just let them be. But there is a difference of when do you open up in a situation where their ignorance is going to cause harm to somebody, to many people, or to even one person. Definitely that's the time to open up. And yes, it's a very subtle thing, almost like brain surgery. Who'd like to take this opportunity to address what Indrani is talking about? It's to know when to shut up and to know when to speak up. Is there a situation like that? So we're discussing gratitude in professional spaces. Sometimes, most of the times, it's catalyst to resolve conflicts. And then there are times when it is controversial. Earlier, we talked about how cross-cultural gratitude practices could be seen not necessarily universally. They're accepted. They may not be recognized. So anybody want to take this topic on how to address gratitude, when to open up and when to not open up? Dr. Lee, welcome. Thanks for joining, and thank you for joining Shiva. Please share about yourself, and if whatever it is that comes to your mind, please feel free to share. Okay, then I can move on. If nobody has any views on this or busy to unmute themselves, thank you still for staying and listening. It is challenging to know there can be a power struggle. When you know your reception is there, you speak up. When you know there's a receiver, because a radio, when you fine tune to the frequency, only then you're receiving, right? Because without any reception, what's the point of you sharing your message? So unless there's a reception, and that is a mark of discrimination between an evolved soul and someone who's still figuring out life, right? So we speak up in the wrong context when we speak up to either for attention or for lack of discrimination on when to take the power, when to allow others to take the power. To me, that's part of growing up. And we're all on that. And we've realized sometimes that we should have shut our mouth. Sometimes we should have spoken up. So there was a time when I was in one of the stores and there were international couple, and they were speaking their language, but very, very softly. And then there was another person who was very clearly upset that this couple was talking their language, discussing what to buy. And like I said, very soft. And he muttered something that was extremely racist and extremely definitely controversial. And he said, if you want to speak your language, you should have stayed in your country. And the way he said it was, he was not looking at them. He kept looking at whatever it is that he wanted to get at the aisle, and he said it. And I was just walking by. So we were the only people on that aisle, this couple, this person, and me. And I'm like, keep walking, keep walking, keep walking. Don't open your mouth, because he's obviously not going to listen. And the couple had no clue. They were in their own world that they didn't understand what he said, or were not even aware. But I was the only one privy to this situation. And I kept walking by, and I asked myself, in this fraction of seconds passing by, right? This is an opportunity. He may not turn around and say, well, thank you for enlightening me and educating me. But maybe it's a seed. Maybe it's going to grow later on in life. Maybe it will never. But I was thinking, is this a situation for me to grow up, for me to not be scared, and for me to speak for someone who doesn't even know that they're being attacked, right? And then my heart started beating so fast that I don't like controversy. Indrani, it's not just you. Most of us hate the word controversy. So I said, what if the American Indians said the same thing to us? And I said, thank you for being inclusive. And I walked away. And because America is a land of salad, it's not a melting point. I would like to correct AJ respectfully. Melting pot is where you lose all your individuality, where you lose your flavor, where you lose your color, where you become one of many. It's a homogenous thing. It's like Star Trek or whatever that show is, where everybody wears the same, speaks the same, looks the same. No, America is an amazing country that's allowed us to stay a salad. That's exactly what I received in my booklet when I got the citizenship. They said, we want you to, a tomato to stay a tomato, a cucumber to stay a cucumber, an olive to stay an olive, because together we bring that beauty. So for people who cannot see that due to ignorance or whatever it is, right? It's a conversation. It's not about wronging somebody, but it's just turning around a conversation. I would love to hear any of your shares here. Shiva, go ahead, please. Dr. Lee and Indrani, go ahead. Ajay, Srini, Ravi.
So you
Yeah,
are
very
saying-
well. Sorry.
Yes, please, Srini, go ahead.
Yeah, very well described and summarized, Sheetal, the way you put the melting pot together. So, yeah, I think, so yeah, the controversies, definitely, for me, I am also kind of, I try to avoid controversies. I mean, I want to have the wisdom to avoid them if possible. Otherwise, we'll get into, issue-based thinking-based, discussions. And most of the times, it shouldn't stick to us after that, controversy is over. But what I feel is, traditionally or in general, many are very sensitive, and it is going to impact. It is going to impact them. So, I think it's a mix, but we always have something to learn from a controversy, because you're completely going into the shoes of somebody else, and it is a a lot of learning sometimes. Yeah.
Very nice, Jeannie. Thank you. And as a founder, CEO of an IT company, I would like to know if you've experienced organizational resistance to any gratitude practices that you would try to incorporate. Maybe it's because of skepticism, maybe it's because people don't understand, maybe it's family that doesn't understand the way you're incorporating gratitude practices are directly related to profitability, to productivity. Have you faced something like that?
Yeah, I mean, one thing, what I realized is that, humans as such, we always want to hear, in the way that we wanted to hear, and also the language that we want to hear. So even though it is a bitter fact, sometimes if you convey it in the right tone, I think more, employees and associates are, willing to listen and adopt as needed, So that's what I noticed actually. So it's also about how we are conveying and how the tone is. There are a lot of things that will, add to it.
That is so true. In communication, it's not the words. The words are only, I think, around 17% or 7% reaching the target. It's actually the tone and the body language. So when your face is stern and you're saying, from now on, we're going to do gratitude practices in our organization, the reception is like, wonder what this scheme is about. So yes, definitely your open expressions, your smile, your genuine smile, and your tone make the biggest difference in the reception. I get it. And would you like to share how it worked out for you, Srini? There was a time there was skepticism and you used your tone to use gratitude, as a catalyst, and you averted the controversy.
Yeah, so most of the times, I think, whether is it going to be a friendly or a hostile, like a friendly, or, am I becoming like a friend or an enemy? That is one vibe that I'm going to pass on. And then the more I stick to reality, that is when I feel that there are solutions and productive solutions, whatever I have observed. So you always want to, be on the ground of reality, because people will not deny the reality most of the times, right? So you need to always orient, towards that. So yeah, definitely. I mean, it means, a lot more productivity and trust, and enhanced relationship. Those are the outcomes that I have observed because of those gratitude, gratitude, and that is shown here.
Yes, thank you, Srini. And we talked about cross-cultural differences, and we talked about organizational skepticism, and gratitude is practiced because, of people's lack of perception that it is directly linked to productivity. Another example would be power struggles. So when it is an existing hierarchy, when you're expressing gratitude for someone in the lower hierarchy, the people at the top, they might just see this as, this is rebellion, because they're used to getting the accolades, but now you're appreciating the small people, the spokes of actually an engine working well. So has anybody experienced something like this, where you're actually being grateful to a worker, but then someone else up the hierarchy has a power dynamic shifting because the attention is not coming to them, which they're used to? Go ahead, Ajay.
Yeah, that's called ego.
Ego, yes.
That's called an ego. That's all it is. Because
Yes,
if you're
because-
confident in yourself and you're confident in your leadership, then those things don't arise. It's simple, right? And even from a cultural standpoint, I understand your hierarchy. You should go read the book, Peter Principle. Have you ever read that book? Go read
What's
it.
the-
It's a good book.
What is the
Peter
word?
Principle, Peter, Peter, like the word Peter, Principle, Principal. And you know what it says?
Yes, what does it say?
says you only rise to the level of incompetency. So those kinds of people, what happens is they get promoted, even though they're incompetent to do, and then they get promoted, they get all the way to the top, but they got promoted. And there's no substance why they got promoted. They just got promoted because, hey, you did your job. The problem is that they promote them out of their comfort zone, out of their job function. So they're not ready. So for an example, if you're a sales guy, a tremendous sales guy, so you know what? We're going to make you a sales manager now. And the guy's like, oh, I'm a sales manager. You know, you did a great job. We're going to make you a vice president now. So think about it for a second, okay? Emotionally, is that person prepared? No, he did his job's good, but they keep climbing up the ladder. So what happens is then people feel like their self-worth isn't there because people aren't going to them collaboratively, they're going to somewhere else. And then their ego
Yes.
gets hurt. That's
Yes,
my opinion.
very nice. Completely true. And when you're not even giving feedback to these leaders, and yet they feel that their authority is being challenged because someone else is getting the accolades. Yes, that's definitely the ego in place. And yes, people promote it to for the wrong reasons because they may be, like you said, have an expertise in a skill, but that doesn't necessarily transfer to management and leadership and being a visionary. So yeah, definitely to keep that in mind is very important. So the other one
I
is
think
give back. Go ahead.
I just want to add one more thing. That's why most people love flat organizational charts, because a flat
Mhm.
organizational chart gives you the ability to cross, different types of silos, I call them, because everybody's in their own silo. That's will never change. But when you have a more of a flat org chart, you actually can get things done more effectively, because now people don't see you as not approachable. See, this is one of the things you talked earlier about power position. If people can't approach you, right, and they can't, voice their opinion, then it's only going to be superficial, and you're never going to be able to move the organization in that direction that it needs to be moved in because they don't approach you. So later on, you're going to find out about those problems. And I've worked for Fortune 100, 1000, and I see that all the time, And
Yeah.
unfortunately, it is what it is, so.
Yes, I think when people say I have open door policy, but they may literally have an open door, but figuratively, it's like they take everything with, I can't believe you're questioning me kind of attitude. I don't know how to fix that other than, but it's
Right.
something, they used to have that funny saying like, Lord, the serenity prayer at workplace, make sure I don't step on the feet of the boss. Because
never
you're
heard
walking
that
on
one.
eggshells. You remember that? I remember back then the serenity of prayer. It's about don't let me step on the feet, because when you have open cultures, shared economy, like there is not much of a lot of hierarchy, authoritarian way of being. You actually we've covered in the past of companies that are so progressive that they have kiosks for employees to come and share their ideas, create their ideas, come up with good or bad feedback. So when we are open like that, definitely we can mitigate the controversies and go towards more uplifting everybody, right? That's purpose of living. It's not just to earn and then go back home late night. It's about having such an amazing life balance, that your work, your life, your personal, your professional, like you were saying earlier, how we do something is how we do everything else. So we carry our energy everywhere when we have that right attitude. So the fourth one that I wanted to ask is challenging feedback. Sometimes the feedback is interpreted as criticism, and then sometimes criticism is given as feedback. And we need gratitude at the time to soften the impact. So any take on that really fast, because I need to close up really soon, about feedback. We want to help people, and this is similar to what Indrani was talking about. Do we give feedback or not feedback? Give feedback, because it might explode even more if you give feedback and they take it as criticism. Ravi, Dr. Lee, Indrani, anybody, if you have something to share. And Ajay. Well, yeah, so we've always, go ahead, Indrani.
Yeah, but one thing I realized recently is, as you told just before, if there is a receptor, that means if there are persons or audience ready to listen to you, then only your feedback has the value. This is what I realized. Yeah.
Yes, when you talk to someone who's deaf, mechanically deaf, what's the point, right? So now if it's almost like for me, I would take it as a challenge for me to grow into that situation to see what else can I do, because my old ways are not working anymore. I can't just talk like I'm talking to you and expect this person with this limitation to understand. So it's Yeah, go ahead.
Sometimes it is very important to share that information with that group, because otherwise the false information will be shared with the many of the group.
Sorry, I didn't understand. What is it?
Sometimes we feel like it is most important to share with the society or share with a group of people in the society, because otherwise they will they just pass down these false information into the society.
So there's two ways to look at it.
Yeah.
I know from I listened to one French person say that, there's this tease that the national pastime of the French is to complain. They love to complain. They love to discuss what's not working well. And they feel like if they don't correct something happening in the world or in their country, it will be catastrophic. It's very dramatic in their minds, that if they don't correct it, the rest of the world is going to take a bad example. So what you shared reminds me of that. Yes, Ajay, want to share something on this?
No, I was switching onto my cell phone. I got to run
okay.
for a meeting. Sorry about that.
All right. Yeah. So to have that scarcity mindset, or I don't know what's the right word here, a more dramatic mindset. Like, if I don't correct them, oh my God, they're gonna take this and run with it, and the whole world will be polluted. I need to take that bad apple out, or fix that bad apple so that they don't do that anymore. So
It's not every time. It's only few times, very few times. If we feel yes, it is necessary to correct it, then we have to.
I understand.
But how we don't know. Yeah.
I understand, and it comes back to you speaking to a deaf person is not going to make a difference, right? Dr. Lee, if you're available, would you like to share anything?
Yes, I'm here. I just want to make sure I turn my camera on so you can see me. First of all,
Yes.
thank you all so much, and thank you. You're amazing. I do believe a lot of the things that you're saying is very spot on. And I believe some of the things that we take into corporate America are also things that we should be practicing in our own lives, so it doesn't make us so uncomfortable, right? But I think bringing your culture to the workplace, even if that might appear as challenges to other people, helps people's businesses become more well-rounded. If you're only used to talking to people that look and act like you, your business is only going to go so far. But when you're able to welcome and encourage and allow people to be themselves and say, oh, wow, I really like that. When I encountered this deaf person or even a blind person, it challenges me. And I love how we can challenge our challenges, right? So instead of allowing our challenges to defeat us and make us kind of like lose our place, it allows us to be authentic. So when you're your authentic self, right? And you put your customer first or your work culture first, and if that's integrity and ethics, then you're going to find yourself meeting your clients and adapting to them, which makes you better to serve them. I know earlier you did mention something and I said I want to talk about it, but I wasn't in an atmosphere that was quiet enough. So I apologize, I couldn't talk at that time. But it was about a good time to speak, right? You were saying there is a time for you to speak and a time for you to hold your peace until that time presents itself. And I would say what I've learned in corporate America is when you are able to observe authority and you speak in a time frame that's conducive for you to be observant of the culture, more people will call on you because they can trust that you're not there trying to usurp their authority. You're not there to undermine them, but they really feel like you're a part of the process, which makes you a vital asset. Because they'll say, if I only can put 2 people on this team, besides myself, I'm gonna pick 2 people I can trust, right? So these groups, you want your name to come up constantly in groups with people of authority. And those people are looking for people that are able to serve them first, because what you learn to do for someone else, someone can trust you to do for yourself. So when you someday start your business or you say, hey, look, I got this going on, people are not gonna look at you sideways and say, whose clientele are you trying to steal? Or they won't feel that way at all. In fact, they'll embrace that you're stepping out into your own business or into your own, corporate flow, if you will. And so learning to hold your peace is actually one of the best lessons you can learn. And I would even stretch that into your personal life, because if you use that at home, instead of maybe having conversations in front of your children or in front of strangers or people that don't know your marriage or don't know your your situation, you'll find that that person should appreciate that, because it stops you from being embarrassed. Because what if you're right and they're wrong, or vice versa? Now they might not feel like they can be vulnerable enough with you because you're going to expose them in front of everybody. Nobody wants their dirty laundry in front of a corporate email, right? I would rather you come to me, tell me, allow me to change. And then if I don't, then yes, do the HR or go wherever you feel you got to go. But at least start with that person first. And I would say that across the board. And you'll find that people will say, oh, they're a genuine person. They really care about the culture or about the mission or even about me. I mean, most people tend to care about people when they feel cared about too. And if you're establishing that culture in corporate America, you will not have a huge turnover, because your staff will be like, oh, if there's a problem with this, I'm gonna go talk to this person because they hear us, right? Nobody wants to work for somebody that never hears them. Eventually, they're gonna plot to leave, and their reason for leaving is gonna be what? They never listen to me. So I do encourage you definitely to talk, but find the right ways. It's not always about what you say; it's about how you say it and when you say it. Like sometimes the last thing you want to hear when you cannot turn around is your faults. You want to hear solutions, right? So sometimes instead of saying, you know, you really did a dumb decision there. Why did you say it that way? Why did you do that? I would present, you know, since we're here, let's try to do this. Or let's try to do that. Which way do you want to go? And now you're allowing them to fix their mistakes. Anybody with integrity and ethics, they want to fix what they know they messed up, right?
Yes.
So we allow them to get off the hook, because we're like, hey, which one would you like to do? Or tell me one you want to do. And you'll be surprised at how many of them will tell you what you just said. They'll just change some of the words out. Don't mind that either. Because when it's your turn, people are going to realize, oh no, that person knows what they're talking about. And they were really the brains behind the person they work with. And eventually they'll pick you over that person, especially if you're constantly in the solution and not constantly poking out all the problems.
I love it. You shared so powerfully. Dr. Lee is here as a published author. She has her own publishing company. She has a clothing store, a styling, something. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Well, I thank you. I'm Dr. Lee. I am a published author and I'm a ghostwriter, writer. I help people go from start to finish with publishing and writing and authoring books that position themselves in the best spotlight for their businesses or their career expansion. I also do a self-imaging transformational course. So we talk about how imaging, not just how you look on the outside, but it really is a reflection of how you feel on the inside. So sometimes people feel like, oh, I can wear jogging pants everywhere, or I don't really have to worry about my hair. But the truth is, the way you feel on the inside does manifest. So if you are depressed, people that know you will recognize it. Now, people that might not know you, they might just say, oh, he's messy, or she's a sloppy person, or, you know, they don't really care about their weight, or, you know, different things that might give people a misrepresentation of you. And so I like to help people to transform by going beyond change. You see, we can make changes going back and forth. I'm changing today, but I'm changing right back to what I came from. And if you keep going left, you're eventually going to come in a full circle, but you didn't go anywhere. You just went in a circle. And so my goal is to help people to transform their lives using everything they already have. What I love is sometimes we have to learn to repackage our successes and see our failures as greater ways to win. So if you find yourself where you know, maybe you blew a job or you blew a deal and you're like, Lord, that was the worst thing I could have done. Don't let that stop you and make you feel like I'm just ill-equipped and I can't do this. But look at it and say, you know what? I see what I did wrong. And if I fail again, I'm not failing that way again. I'm going to try another way. And eventually you will find that you're going to find your place. I know a lot of us sometimes want to just fit in. All we want to do is fit in. But the moment you fit in, you shut your own mouth, right?
Yes.
And nobody wants a silent partner. I know people think they do, but they really don't. Not if you want to be great. If you want to be great, you want somebody that'll tell you, I wouldn't do that, and here's some of the reasons why. But if you do that, here are some of the things you should consider so you can maneuver it better than maybe I have or I've seen my clients do. And then that'll help you make better choices. And you could be the, sample child on, on how to do something different that maybe they didn't know was possible. But it is when we really make consistent changes that we realize the transformation, right? You don't go on a weight loss journey making one change and you did it for a week and now you change back to your old habits. And the same thing is true with like your mindset, the way you live your life, the way you treat people. All of those things should transform when you do.
I love it. And you come across with power because you're coming up with an authenticity that's completely immersed in humility. So you care about this other person. So you will speak to them, but not by the book, not shame them, not embarrass them, not judge them. I remember this quote when you're talking that who you are people don't care. It's how you make them feel. So if I had a coaching client where I was mentioning in the past that I called her up, but not in front of everybody. We had a one-on-one and I asked, why do you think you're doing? I asked her so many open-ended questions that she was flustered. She wanted to stop the program. She was like, why is she doing this to me? Why is she questioning me, right? But she said, you risked the relationship enough. And I stayed strong because I was calm inside. So before I even go to correct somebody, I need to figure out if I am there, if I have evolved myself, worked on myself, transformed myself, at least to an area where no matter what they say, it's going to be okay. It's almost like, to me, a mom with a tantrum toddler.
Yes.
You're not going to go, oh my God, you didn't take my. We're not going to go down to their level. If I am there, if I am calm, then I can address the, tantrum. If I am not there, I shouldn't even go near. For me, I won't open my mouth when I'm agitated by what is happening. That is not the right time for me to speak up.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Everything you just said. It's funny. You said something too that I heard earlier in the week. So I know, like, you heard that saying, you hear things in threes. So you hear it one way, you might hear it in TV, and it's amazing. And you just click something for me. But I agree with you too. And when you come in with a level of calm, it brings down people that are already high, right? I love what you said. You said you got to risk the relationship. It just came back to me. And I think that is so true because, like I said, nobody really wants a yes man. If you have yes people, they're not going to build you. They're not going to mentor you. And you're probably smarter than them. And like they say, if you're the smartest person in the room, it's dangerous because you have no one to elevate you. So you want to not be the smartest person in the room. And the way you confirm it is by having people that'll tell you no, or be willing to be so honest and risk the relationship. I think a lot of people marry the wrong people because they don't want to offend people. They don't want to hurt your feelings. They don't want to damage maybe their, something culturally or in their, in the family members. So you go along to get along, and that always is going to leave you worse than where you came, because now you realize you made choices for other people and you're having to live with consequences that are yours, but it wasn't because of you. It was because of the pseudo self. It was because of protective measures. It was because of walls you created. And now you're living a life that you're completely miserable in, right?
Yes.
So in order to really win in corporate America, in business, in life, in marriage, you have to be willing to risk to ask the questions and want the answers that you really deserve. So if you want to be in leadership, then you have to be willing to discipline yourself, have the ethics, the integrity, the consistency, and then demand those things. Right. And sometimes that does mean having hard conversations. As leaders, we may have to let people go because they don't fit somewhere. But that doesn't mean you have to dump people off in the middle of an ocean. There is a way even to let people go in corporate America. Right. I've heard so many people that were let go by companies, but the way they were let go was in a way that allowed them to go where they were supposed to go. So what you're really telling people is, this is not your best position. Your best position is here. So if after you leave here, I want you to consider these options, and then people won't feel so deflated. And when they have It's true. And so, I mean, even when I've had to, transition some people, I had to let them know, I'm not transitioning you because you were not good enough. Like the world will tell you, you're not good enough. I'm transitioning you because you're better than this. Where you're going is better for you. And so if I keep you here, then I'm stifling your growth because I'm trying to conform you to what I want or need from you, but your gifting is over here. So the moment you step in your gifting and you develop it, right? Because we can't just become masters at something we haven't trained at. So you have to be willing to allow yourself to master it so that you can then walk into your purpose and all those good things. And then you'll start seeing the results you really deserve. Sometimes we're afraid to let go of people, relationships, jobs, careers, because we built these walls to protect us. And we think they're holding us or elevating us, but they're really holding us in a padded room. Right?
Yes,
We're going
yes.
crazy.
Yes, you said
yeah.
it so beautifully. And we have an ancient Sanskrit hymn that's very popular, and most of the Hindus like chant it, but not knowing what it means. And it talks about the essence of what you just said of letting go to a higher purpose. It's not letting
Right.
go because you're not going to work with me, talk to the hand kind of thing. It's more like it's like we don't need to chew a gum that's lost its flavor. It's
Right.
you absorbed it, you are better off because of it, and now it's time to move on, right? So it's about a cucumber. When a cucumber is grown, when it's the right time to pick it, you don't have to pluck it. The thing that connects the vine that connects the cucumber to the plant dries up and it naturally breaks off, so you just pick it
Right.
up. So
Right.
it's so natural that you are on to your next thing. And this has been a very powerful session, even though we changed the time and missed a lot of people because we have to go back to the workshop. I can't
We
thank
do.
you for all your gems that everybody here dropped. And I want to end this with one talk that is it's in our mythology, is that when two people, these two are very learned people, are discussing a topic, what they did as a debate, right? What they did is that they put garland on each other, a flower garland, and even though it was very jugular, you had to give logic, reason, so many things that they were discussing. They were discussing everything under the planet to come out which is a better philosophy. But what I loved about this is that the debate was not won by who won the argument, but the debate was won by the one whose garland stayed fresh longer. You know what that means? When we are invested in explaining to people about me, myself, my essence, why my thing is better than yours, or why my thing you need to listen, all that stuff, my emotion, my inner calm, my inner balance matters. That affects my body energy that will wilt the flower if I am more agitated than necessary, or if I'm even agitated. So to actually have a non-verbal, non-measure, this is not seen normally because you see, oh, they won the argument, they won the debate, or this point is correct. And like Ajay was mentioning earlier, Democrat, Republic, all these kind of differences, right? If we're sharing whatever it is that we're sharing, if our garland is wilting fast, we need to reevaluate ourselves on our message to the world. The message might appear right, but internally you are not in the right mode to convey that message, so it won't be received well. So yes, with this, I would like to thank you so much. In the future, I would look forward to working with you, seeing you
I look
here.
forward to coming back.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great
pleasure.
week. Yes,
Hi,
thank
guys.
you.
Thank you. Nice
Bye
being
bye
here
for now, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
too.
Julie, thank you so much, Shita.
My pleasure, Indrani. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Lee. Bye.
Hey, Stanley Foster. Hello. Hey, how you doing?